The picture did receive some criticism online, social media. Looking back, was there any of the criticisms that you read that you may feel is now kind of fair?
No. The Empire would have gotten roasted. If you look at the criticisms of The Last Jedi, can you imagine what they would have said about Luke just getting his ass handed to him by Vader? And like, oh my god.
Welcome to Black Angus Reviews. As most of you know, I love Star Wars, and that's why I don't cover it in detail very often. I have met most of my subscribers and fellow content creators through channels like World Class, Geeks and Gamers, and Comic Artist Pro Secrets, and I love what they do, and am an avid follower to this day. But with the progression of Disney's ownership, it's become more and more negative, exclusive. It's fun to discuss in live streams and talk about what we love about the franchise, and I feel I've been fair in my coverage of the sequels, but there's very little I like or can applaud in them. My house is full of a Star Wars collection I've accrued for at least the last 10 years, and my son is named Lucas because of the love I have for the series. Hopefully that gives you some insight why I don't make many thought out videos about it. It's negative and dying thanks to the management's own hubris, thinking that we'll buy anything with the beloved logo like blind sheep. Moving on to Star Wars theory. Honestly, I was never excited for the fan film because I was so jaded about any new content. But I was so wrong not to be hyped. He delivered far beyond any expectation, and on his own dime with way less than what he needed. I cannot wait for the next episode. Many of my fellow creators have been covering the fiasco with the out-of-the-blue copyright strike by Disney/Warner Chappell for the music. And in less than 24 hours, the cries of outrage by the Fandom Menace and Fandom Collective seem to have been heard. Namely, I want to thank Flipped Out and Odin's Movie Blog for their spot-on coverage and willingness to thank Disney or Lucasfilm for their involvement in addressing the matter and removing the monetization claim. Ethan Van Sciver, one always weary of boycotting Disney despite all our complaints, even said, "Hey, I'm lifting my boycott since you've made this right." But that's where I have to disagree with Uncle E. This should just further our conviction to make Lucasfilm, and yes, Disney, their overlords in the end, pay for their treatment of us the fans, or better yet, the customers. I personally see this copyright claim and sudden removal to be all a show. Star Wars Theory worked out how to make this, how to fund it. He bent to all the rules laid out before him. Soon we get reports for the losses Disney has sustained at least in merchandise department, and 3 weeks after the fan film release, they try to backtrack and take the money Star Wars Theory has willingly never attempted to claim. Flipped Out has correctly pointed out that Warner Chappell is their own company with the exclusive right to claim the video for its contents, but I feel that this is reminiscent of how Bruce Wayne bought back his company in Batman Begins, through shell companies. Do you really think that despite the competition that Warner Brothers and Disney are to each other, they wouldn't rather help each other instead of letting the rabble on YouTube make more appealing content? But hey, that's just how I see it. So let's look at some minor and major reasons why you should still boycott Episode 9 and possibly Disney in general. First of all, they retcon the EU. In 2014, we get our first glimpse of The Force Awakens, and much to the fandom's surprise, appears a black stormtrooper. Given the Nazi undertones of the Empire with its human and white centricity, it was reasonable to question how a black man could be a stormtrooper. Sure, I'm certain there were some genuine racists who remarked on this, but instead of taking all this in stride, Boyega smugly replied that we should get used to it. With people questioning yet another female lead in a male-heavy universe, Kathleen says that she doesn't owe anything to the male fans, not to mention a clear stance being made with the Force's female shirts. After The Last Jedi criticism and backlash, J.J. Abrams said that the fans' problem wasn't The Last Jedi, it was being threatened by women. The media, always coming to the defense of the weakly victim that is Lucasfilm, assumed that Kelly Marie Tran vacated social media due to racist alt-right trolls who are the fandom. Ryan Johnson deems we're all man babies, and later trolls us saying that his Jake Skywalker was 100% consistent with the saga. Instead of learning from the cause of Solo's demise, they canceled a much looked forward to Obi-Wan and Boba Fett spin-offs. But hey, here's The Mandalorian, and you know what? We'll bring back the Clone Wars, even though we canceled it to begin with because it was too violent. And guess what? We know exactly what will make you basement-dwelling man-babies happy. A Cassian Andor show. Who? You know, the morally conflicted rebel in Rogue One with no development, and who dies at the end so we don't have to fit him into the larger lore. Yeah, he's getting a prequel show. And we'll let you watch it on our Disney Plus streaming service that you're so excited to get. Before The Last Jedi, Disney demanded a 65% box office cut from theaters, unprecedented, with a 5% penalty for those not showing it for 4 weeks in the biggest theater, causing small theaters to have to miss out on the potential profits as they couldn't afford that gamble. I'm unsure if they've set that precedent with their other releases, but with Solo, the Nutcracker, and Mary Poppins Returns bombing, there's hope that small theaters can still have some say in the industry. In retaliation for an unfavorable article, they issued a screening blackout on press from the LA Times, which they walked back only due to the bad publicity afterwards. Recently, in preparation for the opening of the new Star Wars lands in their American parks, Disney has raised the prices as to keep the unwanted commoners from enjoying a pastime long associated with success and the American dream. Interesting, coming right after reports of losses on merchandise. This year, 2019, should finalize the Fox-Disney merger. Planet of the Apes just finished a great new trilogy. Die Hard has been done for a while. Alien and Predator cannot make generally pleasing sequels to the franchise, along with being R-rated brands. The Simpsons and Family Guy don't fit the look of Disney. The only franchises that seem of value for continuation or re-release with hope of a profit are the X-Men and Fantastic Four. It seems they shelled out $70 billion just to attempt to complete the MCU stockpile and to shut down competition. However steep the price had to be to do that. No, friends, the House of Mouse is not your friend. They don't want to have a wide-reaching fan base if that fan base has differing opinions. They don't want the plebeian class infesting their parks. They only want you, the fan, if you fall in line with the corporate groupthink, and they seem quite content in voicing that opinion. Just look at how the media, clearly assisted by Disney's hand, is pushing Captain Marvel. They're even interjecting their politics into Spider-Man. Peter saying, "You look really pretty," and the new MJ replying, "Therefore I have value?" You have to see that this is meant as more than a joke. Oh, and remember that toxic masculinity commercial by Gillette? Well, Rogue One had a Gillette razor blade promotion for the release. I would not doubt that there's some connection there with the marketing departments, but call me crazy. Please, see past this copyright shenanigan and stay ever faithful in the boycott. The culture war of normalcy isn't really being waged in religious arguments in government. It's being waged in front of our couches, on our phones. It's the media that will influence your kids right under your nose. Stay vigilant.